We are live. Where's our soundtrack? Nice. Okay, Mr. Ibrahim. Welcome back. What's welcome back in Uganda? Kumaweka.
No.
Kulikayo.
Welcome back. Yep.
Welcome back. So today is a sunny Thursday. But we'll have someone asked me, you guys are speaking Uganda. Does this mean this podcast is for the Ugandan crowd? And I'm like, maybe. So is it for the Ugandan crowd, sir?
It's for everyone. We can transcribe.
That's a lot of work.
Okay, not transcribe, but just leave a comment where you don't understand.
And we shall translate for you.
It will be.
Also, man, it feels refreshing talking Uganda in this New York. The other day I was at Walmart and I bumped into some Ugandans.
Kakasa.
I had Luganda. I'm like, who's that? And I was like, Mujebare. They were also happy. Why you Uganda? So it's nice. It's funny. You get to appreciate your things once you leave them. The amount of Ugandan content I'm consuming. Ntula gwenenda wabukedde ku YouTube. And it's strange because I would never in my life sit and watch Ugandan news. But now, I can't watch Ugandan news in English. It feels funny. It sounds, I don't know, sounds like it's not real. Like, I don't know. But give me the same news piece in Luganda, I'm like, yeah, this stuff is...
Is that a way of staying connected to home?
Yeah, man, homesickness is real.
Oh, yeah, that's...
And it manifests in different ways. That's one of the funny things. Is that it's a thing, but it's not... We all experience it, but you can't put a pin to it and describe it and be like, oh, it's like this and it's like this. No. Everyone will experience it in their own ways. It's very...
How did you experience?
It's a very interesting phenomenon. I remember the first time I experienced homesickness, Nari Juba. Me usually I consume a lot of Ugandan music, Ugandan content. Like even now, I consume a lot of Ugandan content that I would never in my life. I know the latest songs before even Uganda. Watch a song, it's released 5 hours ago.
Which is the last song you listened to?
There's a song by this girl. What's her name? Joey Landa. Don't support. Jam is fire. That's the finest song right now. Yesterday I watched a song by some chick I didn't know. It's also called Kampala. Not Irene Tales Kampala. There's another one. Wakarovichi Kampala. And she was like, Kampala Jagonda. I'm like, okay.
Kakasa Jagonda. Like, today... Like, since we already gotten into the homesickness thing and all, like, what, like, piggybacking on that, like, you're consuming a lot of home content and obviously creating more content.
Yeah.
Where does this come from? Like, obviously, you have had an active YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Snapchat. God damn it.
Surprising.
Like everything.
Sorry to cut you off. Here's the funny thing about that. People think that I used to be a poster all my life. I kid you not, this thing started in 2022. Actually, more so end of 2022, going to 2023. And it didn't start out like, I always tell people, document, don't create. Because most people seek out to create content. No, me, I set out to document. I'm like, oh, here's something cool. That's what pictures were meant for from the start. People forgot that aspect about all this media. A picture was supposed to capture a moment so that in the future you can remember it. Now it's about some other weird things. So to me, I still in that mind frame. I started out with my 10 a day, for those who know. If you know about that, call me Nkwaye Biri.
So, okay, like for those that need to.
So to me, it started out
about
as
the 10 a day thing you
Because
to do.
the world, I mean, you know, we watch a lot of content, watch a lot of people tell you what you need to be your best self and all these things. And one of the, I usually have what they call year themes instead of goals. That's a whole, instead of, what are they called? Resolutions, as a whole topic for another day. So I want to teach myself consistency, but consistency is hard to learn without accountability. Like that's the biggest part of consistency. Accountability, the lack of or the presence of. So I'm like, okay, I want to do this thing. And doesn't matter even what you're consistent in. But as long as you have a way of accounting for it and for your brain to see you. Because at the end of the day, it's a feedback loop. It's all dopamine. You do something, you actually achieve it. Your brain's like, hey, we're actually doing this shit. Let's do more of that. So I wanted to find a way to document this thing that I was doing. The thing didn't even matter, it just happened to be that. But I wanted a way to create accountability for it. Because I didn't have like maybe Excel sheet that I could constantly do. I didn't have, you know, it's easy to be accountable. That's why being employed is easy. Because there, your job, your boss is like, way, you know, or, you know. But when it's you at the wheel, it's hard because there's no one else to akubuza, you know. So I was like, I need to create this for myself. So I started out, I'm like, you know what? If I film this every day, YouTube is free storage. People keep forgetting this. This is a hack.
How much storage is that?
It's free. YouTube is unlimited. You don't have to store all your videos on your phone, people. Get the video uploaded on YouTube. You don't want it public, it's okay. Just make it private. And even though you make it public, who's going to watch your things? They're like about how many days worth of footage is uploaded every second on YouTube. Most likely no one will ever even find your thing. But it's free storage.
Oh.
So me, if I ever need to know about some point in my life, I'll just go to YouTube and find it. Even though I've stopped paying for Apple Cloud, iCloud, and all these things, I still have my videos up on YouTube. It's free storage. People don't realize that aspect of it. Anyway.
What's your theme for this year?
Love. Yeah, love. Yeah, because
So
life is nice. We are loving life.
What have you fallen in love with? What are you loving lately?
The thing with themes is... Anyway, let me first finish. So I set out to document that aspect of it, and I just did that. Every day, I'll do my 10 push-ups, record them on film, upload that video. That's what it started out. At the basic, that's what it was supposed to be. But interestingly, as it evolved, it evolved and it became this thing where now I'm thinking about my ideas, I'm articulating things better. It also makes you better as a person because the best way to learn is to teach, of course. So it was capturing mental state I was in at the day, what happened for it. It became so many other things to me than the initial goal, which was interesting. That's why I even did it for a long time. And from there, that's when I also started posting content, which brings us actually to one of today's topics. People, and a friend asked me this, a friend who was in Korea, asked me this as well. He also pointed it out. He was like, oh, by the way, when he was also in Korea, he posted a lot. People ask why when people come this side, even someone who has never posted, all of a sudden you start posting. All of a sudden you start, you know. The negative side, another friend who's very... they always look at the downside of everything. Once said it's because people need extra money. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe that's why some people post. But it's not always about that. It's not always, you know.
And like the thing of extra money, by the time you start earning from, say, like this video.
Yeah, it's not really about that.
No, the money is not that.
Yeah, it's not even that much money. Do you know what it takes to get paid on YouTube?
Like,
you see. But let me give you the reason I feel people that I realized once I got here, why people who are even the most quiet all of a sudden post this side. One of the things that got me when I was in Uganda was, even to be guayo, man. You do it all in a big guayo. You go see all the Bujinja places. You go see all the malls, Bulinga Busatu. You go like big guayo. And then what? And then, you know, postable things, because we all, what inspires you to post something? You something like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I want someone else to see it, or I would want to capture this moment I'm in. That's what inspires pictures. That's what inspires tattoos. That's what inspires, you know, you've gone through this amazing experience. You want to remember it. Or you've seen this amazing thing. You want to remember it. You want to capture it, or you want to tell it to other people. So you see.
Click.
So when you're this side, those moments, those things are a lot, especially if you're coming
Endless.
from Africa.
Yeah.
You know, if you're coming from Asia and other places, those places are already developed, they have all these things, they may not. But if you're coming from Africa, the change from Africa to a first world is huge in terms of environment, activities, mindset. It's huge. It's a huge change. Just picture a person ava mu kyalo najje Kampala. That's a change. But the change from anyway. So the change is huge. So you come here and it's like, oh wow, there's so many more of those moments, and you simply just want to capture them. But bruh, I'm going to be walking and I see some stuff I've never even. I'm like, wow, how did let's capture that. That's why we post more. I personally feel that's why we post more. Not because, but because there's just more to post. In Kampala, I'll go to Akasha, nalava Akasha nenjimalayo. I'll go to Jinja. Okay, let me put it this way. You see how in Kampala, when a new thing comes in town, there was this rainbow slide that came.
Yeah.
You saw how everyone posted that because that's new, and So imagine that's those kinds of things every day, everywhere you walk, everywhere you go. It's like that. Different every day. It's like that. Every day you're seeing something new that's just wow, 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 wow. So you keep posting. Every day you experience something that's just wow, wow. So you keep posting. I'll go to a simple bar thinking I'm on to a simple bar. Before I know it, there's this amazing cover rock band that has come and is doing better thing than I've ever seen in my life. That's wow. I'll post about that. You see. So it's not that people seek out to become intentionally more of posting things. It's just that we experience things that we feel personally like, I want to capture this. Oh wow, this is amazing. And since there are more of those things, the guy is posting more. In Kampala, you'll experience like one or two of those. Unless you're like rich people but even
On an eventful day here, like what would that look like? Like from the jump you.
Let me give you my last Sunday.
Okay, go on.
So last Sunday I woke up like asagala tula waka. I'm like, you know what?
That was Easter Sunday.
I'm like, you know what? Let me go to Central Park. Central Park itself is huge. I've been to Central Park several times, but like the beginning. This time I'm like, I want to look for the lily, the cherry blossoms, because it's spring, everything is colorful, the lights are all out. Like, get my trains, and so this is like the middle part of Central Park. And again, I've been there. But you walk in like, whoa, there's like lakes, people on boats, canoeing, fountains, and you're just walking. This is amazing places for free. You can't even stand at any one place and be like, maybe teenage for cheating up. I can't even find a place that I've been to in Uganda that I can point out. Maybe Entebbe comes close, but those are paid. You pay to get in. This is just free. We walk and walk. Just you're there. Some guys like, hey, do you want to do a video about asking a doctor something for 2 minutes? I'm like, hey, cool. Why not? I did. The guy films the thing. I take a picture with him because,
What did you ask the doctor?
I asked him changing diet. If I have East Africa, changing to American diet. Guy, tulia cheese, I miss a chkalai. But then another topic. Another day. So I walk and then, I went there from like 2:30. I left at 5. And I'm just walking, see these beautiful places. You get to monuments. There was this huge Egyptian thing that had hieroglyphics on it. Like, and that's just one place one day. And as you're there standing looking at, they think some random British guys with, they call them ndege, call them nyege in Rutoro. Things you put on your feet and some guys come and they start dancing there. Some show, like free. So we planning just to yeah. I'm like, oh wow. I walk further, I find this field, nice colors. There's a baseball court. People are just seated there, chilling, flying kites, vibing out. I'm like, wow. Like, again, this is what appeals to me, but I'm to put a point that such things are more this side, you see. So that's why we end up posting. But anyway.
And from the feedback you've received from people back home or people that comment on your, say, status or your videos, like if you're data scientist, so like if you're to break it down into chunks, which kind of feedback is it? Is it positive? So, it's encouraging? Is it where does it?
Luckily,
are there outliers?
The people who hate, don't comment. But then actually someone mentioned it some time back here. We're like, Nengo take ayo BNG. And then some, was it even new? Some person was like, BNG, but it's something they've never seen. See, there's me posting a lot of things that you're going to go and find on Twitter, that you're going to go and find memes. Memes are viral. By the time I post the meme, probably someone else will also post the same meme. Maybe Uganda, we all post, it's like a small circle, So I can't post something like that because probably I can't post a lot of those because probably you will see them somewhere else. But the things I will post, most likely you, a person in Uganda, will not get to see something like that today or in the near. So that's the kind of thing. I won't be at Times Square to show you, that's...
Times Square spin.
Of all your statuses you're going to see that day, none of your people that you know is going to show you what Times Square was on that very day, that like 2 hours ago. You see, you can go to YouTube and look up a Times Square video. Yeah. But me, I'm showing you, here's what was at Times Square 2 hours ago. Here's a show I saw, like that one time moment. I actually post more on my WhatsApp statuses than my Ugandan WhatsApp status, than the Canadian number, than the Instagrams, because I'm trying to capture this moment, this time, this. And I very well know no one, most likely, is in this same place as me right now, in all my Ugandan circles. So to me, the feedback usually, sometimes people see something and like, I didn't know about that. And there's actually something they've really tried, never known, which to me is what I actually care about.
Because
I'm showing you something, I'm inspired.
Yes. Why I ask that question, because there's a lady I follow. She's called Mills Jodopendi. She's in California, and she, I think last week, she was just calling out people who were telling her about how to present her set, because she's doing some content on Instagram. So Mills, like you'll find the handle. But it's like she was calling out people for, in a way, telling her, set like all that. Like,
yeah.
Like, you probably, like, for most of those people, haven't had that opportunity to be in a setting, like, say this, to create whatever is being put out there. So that's why I ask, because for the most part, yes, there are some people in media that will give you something, a thing or two to improve on. But then there will be other people who will be just pointing out, our sponsor teaching like something, nitpicking on what's already.
And also, I haven't yet, I don't see myself as a professional content creator. I don't think myself as I'm professional. I'm just a guy with a camera phone. To me, that's it. And I'm capturing my daily life. I haven't yet gotten I'm a professional. If you watch my stuff, well and good. But like I said, I'm documenting my life. When I film something, when I release my vlog, it's not for people to watch it's for me. So that in 20 years, I'm like, Kale, I was in that time, in that zone. I kid you not, that's my mind frame when I'm making my things. Because that's why I focus more on when Ali. I haven't yet gotten, okay, now let me make it look like this. And I've seen professional content creators like Loretta who was here last. For her, she's like, don't put the camera here. No, now the picture, now capture. They're trying to get a certain, I call them content duplicators. You're not trying to capture the thing as it is. You're trying to recreate something you saw online and you're trying to make this, you see. I'm not that. Me, I'm trying, here's the thing. Ngawe chidi. I'm not trying to set it and make it look the way I want. I want it to speak for itself, not for me to, But for this many, I think for girls, she'll go see a picture online, go Instagram, and she'll go and try to recreate that exact same picture somewhere. Be like, now that's why they always, no, I want it like this. And you're trying to recreate something or you're trying to create something. Me, I'm not. I'm just, that's the way it is. I want that thing. That's my approach.
Okay, now we're talking about creating content and everything. Like, for the most part, they'll see you post online, but like most people will see you post, probably comment and whatnot. Then there's this aspect. They will see you post, but not really engage in conversation with them. Because it's something that usually comes up when
when people move.
like someone moves abroad, like for the first, let's call them couple of weeks, when the guy is settling in and like trying to still hold on to back home while trying to figure themselves out in a new place. Like you will have more conversations with people at home frequently, like in those early weeks. Then over time, that communication drops and keeps dropping. And keeps dropping.
That's a serious.
Why? Like, have you experienced?
Yes.
Okay, you have experienced it, right? So
You're about to Linda. I'm not going to like the answers, but
so I bring this up because I was in a call with a friend last evening, and we've had a conversation over time, but it keeps on looping. Like, it keeps on looping. And what I told him last evening, like, boss, have you, like, I just pointed, let me use, like the themes that we are doing this, we're having this same conversation over and over. So, can you please just do one thing? Otherwise, I am going to just... I have told him, I'm going to stop talking to you. Period. And he told me, like, wait. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I asked him, do you have anyone, like, out that used to talk to and stopped? Then he's like, yeah. I'm like, look back at the conversations you were having. And he looked at it and he's like, oh. So, like, I'm giving that scenario, like, why and how, where do you think this thing comes from? Like,
I'll start from a story. Nasomerako mchare fort. Wait, people think we are planning kids. Those things of 1,000 kilometers. We did those things. So when I was in the village, this guy's school called the area.
What was the motto?
This was P1. So I go back to that school in 2019. And I kid you not. And I didn't, you don't even remember something until you see it. You're like, eh. So those big paintings they put on the school walls, the hat, those primary schools usually. But
the map of Uganda, stuff like that.
So I go back to the school. This is how many years later? This is, I think, 20 plus years later. And I kid you not, there were paintings when Aleka Ko in P1 in 2000, when was I in P1? 1998 something. Ngaka painting kachaliko. Do that math. Quick maths. Ngaka painting. And I didn't realize it. I looked at it, I'm like, wait. And like ka painting kachaliko. Why I'm telling you that story? Most of you may know this. Bodai muchalo chamu. Ichalo tetichuka that much. Nothing changes. You see. The building you left there is probably the same building. You see. Nothing changes much. Same thing with Kampala. Kampala changes faster than the village. But also not much. There's a friend I asked before I got here. I'm like, ever since you've been living on Bugolobi, Mutungo, how many things have really changed on your street? How many buildings have come up? It's like, one or two. Like, nothing changes much. You see. But then you come to first worlds. Bro, today I'll walk Broadway and the exhibitions I left there, they are not the same tomorrow. They are not the same the next day. Like, things here change so fast. The laws, the people. So, as a consequence, you as a person as well also change that fast. First of all, so to connect it back to the village. Also, picture because we are Bantu Muchal. You ever gone home for Christmas? Like video, you can't really hold a conversation with them for so long because because to them the environment is not changing as fast. Their minds are also not changing as fast. Their peoples are also not changing as fast. They're always looping around the same peoples. Right? That's village. If you're from Kampala and you go to the village, that's the analogy I can give you. When you're in the first world and look at Kampala is changing fast for people in Kampala, but to us, it's not changing at all. So now, like to them, it's like now because we are being a chalo. It's like You're looping around the same topics because your environment doesn't change that much. There's nothing new. So, last week, it's the same things you're telling me this week. To me, what has happened within that week? A lot. I have 1,000 things I could tell you. Brand new things that you've never heard of just within that week. For you in Kampala, nothing much has changed. Again, the Chadi as usual. Like there's nothing much traffic. Like there's nothing much has happened. Nothing much has changed. So you have nothing much to talk about because your environment is not changing as fast. Your mind is not changing as fast. Your thought processes are not changing as fast. Your conversations are not changing as fast. A guy in a first world, like I'll have so much to tell you, and so much to move on. That's one aspect I would explain it. The second aspect I would say, first of all, time. When you get here, and I also used to have that same question by the way. I want to they no longer talk to us. I used to also have that question. We're younger. Like church again. Yeah, but where I get a call? But honestly, reach here and it's like, no, we just excuse me. Coffee and Korean food. What did I have? Shrimp. Anyway. So
Stay on the main.
So the second aspect I would explain is time. When you get here, you understand that time. I read that thing when I was a youngin, and probably most of you also know it. Time is your biggest asset. You just don't understand it. You know it. There's a difference between knowing and understanding something. Time is your biggest asset. This people know. And that applies to everything. Everything at the end of the day, you tend to realize is just a time investment. It's the only thing you have to invest. We all have the same 24 hours. But I'll spend my 24 hours watching a lecture on machine learning. Remember, Civitegede, I've watched it. You spend your same 24 hours watching a soap on La Carabra, some stuff. At the end of the day, we'll both spend the same 24 hours, but one of us, if I ever put in a situation where there's money at stake, one of us has an edge over the other. That's why people here pay you in time. That's why I tell you time is your biggest asset, because at the end of the day, to become anything, to do anything, no one is born sharp, no one is born a genius. Trust me, I've looked for those answers in philosophy, psychology, human behavior sciences. I've read all of them, I've studied all of them. From MIT, Stanford, Yale, mention them. I try to look for the answers like, you've heard those things. Oh, you're mukezi bam, So me, I used to think maybe you're born with something, and no, we are all born with the same things. We all have the same 24 hours. The only thing is, how do you invest that time? So when you get here, that thing hits you really hard, because here they are paying you by the hour. And also, you get to understand that, I could spend this hour lousing, or I could spend this hour taking a course that would get me paid more. You see, so you tend to realize the value of time. Slowly, because you could see your environment and your consequences. Like, I could spend this weekend, or I could spend it. And you clearly see here, what it points out really is clearly how your efforts lead to different results. Like, if I spend my effort on this, I'll clearly be here. If I spend my effort, I'll clearly be chidaba. So you also get it, and you start to spend your efforts and time wisely. You're like, can be take one, can take a while. Now, when you start operating in that mode, in that zone, and then people back home where time doesn't mean anything. People will say in Africa, no rush. And other people say in Africa, we're always on vacation. People back home where time doesn't mean anything. Guy can spend 2 hours talking about nothing really. Because to them, time is not a consequence. There's no, people tell you show up at 10. Here you understand that if I need to go somewhere and it's 2 hours, I'll have to plan those 2 hours, because everything is to the clock. To me delaying 10 minutes costs you another 30 minutes, that costs you another. And people here don't. Anyway, most of you may know this, but here time is something really relevant. So when you start operating in that mode, and that your brain starts operating in that zone, you can't really spend 30 minutes combined with the fact that now your brain is fast and it's used to new things, exciting things. You can't really spend 30 minutes listening to a guy, first of all, tell you nothing new, tell you the same things he told you yesterday, and also waste your time. All those combined, you'll be like, again, picture yourself, mwabali Kampala, mudayo muchalo. How long do you usually hold conversations with villagers for? It's that same factor times 1,000.
So what I pick from this is that environment plays a big factor in
very, very big.
How we tend to relate with different people in that space or in a different space. So how do you think is what's the most efficient way, or a workable way, actually, not efficient, but a workable way to bridge this gap, so that, like, at the end of the day, we're trying to get, like, if I'm going to quote the myth, so it's just like, if one of us goes through, the whole crew is like coming through. Like, I'm paraphrasing. So like, in order for the next guy to come, like for my next person, when you're kusika, like you're man, I need you to step up and level up. But how do you bridge that gap so that at least there's someone it's like tug of war. Like, you can feel someone. Hey, you're like, okay, there's some effort here. Like, how do you bridge that gap? What would you tell to the?
That's tricky.
Kampala?
That's tricky. Because first of all, it's hard for you to get someone to get in the zone that people this side be in without them being in the environment. I believe, and science mostly confirms this, we are more nature than nature. Like, your environment, you are the way you are because of your environment, mainly, you see. So it's hard for you to make someone that when they are not in the environment. It has to take effort, like real effort. That's why you will see someone, it's real effort, it's real work. The Ugandan approach. It's real effort. Someone every day, there has to be something.
So one,
and you learn the discipline, you learn the consistency. And then secondly, summarize your time with them. Because me, I tell you, if I've said Tana, why it's Tana. Sometimes I get bored and sit there and send you voice notes. But trust me, after that, you send me a 7-minute long. There's a friend who even told me he was listening to Ugandan's voice notes at 2 times the speed, because a person's voice notes, usually whatever it is they are telling you is said in the first 5 seconds. A Kasigazi is just looping around the same point. Day and a day, same thing. Whatever the message, like, if you could distill the whole 3-minute audio, the main core was said in the first, or it was said already. So I usually just, summarize, get the point, pick what the idea, because I never really, it's what is this person trying to say at the end of the day. I'm not going to say but what are they trying to say? And then move on. Picking someone, like piggybacking, you try, but someone told me you can't save everyone. You try, but like at some point you come to the piece that like there's some people who have the oomph for it, and just some people don't, honestly. Sadly, because no one is born like that, but at some point past 25, when your brain is now fully developed, and it's hard for you to learn some things, and it takes real effort, and some people don't even know that, because we still have the approach of fumbling around, and like I mentioned, I think in the last one, our biggest problem is approach. We know everything. Even I watched the Sudil interview where he said this. Ugandans know very good English, and he mentioned something which I've been mentioning since the beginning. Ugandans just need to be taught ethic, a different work ethic, a different approach to things, So, some people who got to chirimu, because our approach to life is, we tend to think to jagwambi into, you see. So teaching them that is a lot of work, honestly. And for those willing to put in the work, I've seen people put in the work. They should give them some resources, give them some books. The first book I always send to people is Atomic Habits. Like, read these things, can change your life, your approach to life. Some people read it, most people don't. Like, so that just tells you the first beginning phase. Like, someone can't even commit to reading a paragraph every day. Most likely that person will never commit to anything.
What? Because you sent me that book. What? Off the top of your head, what are the 2 takeaways you picked from that book? Like, why do you? Okay, why? Like, just 2 reasons why you always.
Surprisingly. So anyway, I'd spent a lot of space. Like I said, I spent a lot of my time on YouTube watching. First of all, because I had to. I was running a company, so I needed to learn a lot of things. So most of my time was spent, most of my 20s was spent learning things, Not because, can be eaten for next certificate or salary, no, but because, bigger, because if I don't apply these things, I will not get food tomorrow. To me, it was do or die. So, so, so naturally, I learned a lot of things, and it became what you do in your mid 20s, 23 and above, to like what you do, how you approach things tends to solidify how you'll approach most life. Okay. So to me, I spent, when things usually are confusing, I go on YouTube and learn. And then I realized this in my 30s actually. That's now my approach to everything. Even when I'm heartbroken, I sit and watch a lecture on like human behavioral sciences. That's it was very strange.
So,
and I realized this in 2018. What had happened? Business visible, and I just found myself wanting to watch philosophy and psychology videos. I found something called Justice by Harvard. I'm like, oh. So to me, that's my coping mechanism now. Instead, which is a good thing to have.
So like in this year of, which you're themed with love, because which video was that you watched when you
so somewhere in 2013, Shua Telecom yaja to a friend. That was my introduction to YouTube. Then I went to Juba the very next year. And in Juba, I had a lot of time on my hands. It was a shitty environment. And for the first time, cheap free internet. So I got deeper into watching things, philosophy, psychology.
Came watching up with a bunch of videos.
Hey, and that's why I say, guys, I gave you the good thing with my path is every single thing I've done, people know and I've shared with them. But I give a guy, here's what I've done, tried. So if I become rich, we had the exact same resource. Because now that was like, because the life after campus is like you're really shaping yourself as an adult. That I was shaping and I didn't even know it. So that became my default body's go-to for when things are not making sense. Just watch things. That's my pastime comfort thing. You see, I'm like, oh, thank God. That could have been any other thing, man. Could have been a chiboto. But get back to your answer. So by the time I read Atomic Habits, sorry, to your question, by the time I read Atomic Habits, it wasn't really teaching me anything I didn't know. You see, actually, I'd already implemented things in Atomic Habits. Then by the time I was using Atomic Habits, I was like, hey. So I was right. I was doing them thinking, but I think this is how you approach this thing. Then I do the approach. Then later, and that has been happening all my life. You have an idea of something, but you don't have the technical words for what it's called. You just know it. You're like, this I think is a... Then later you find like, oh, I was actually justified. It's just this guy has put a legit scientific name on it. Yeah. So now the Atomic Habit was more like, oh yeah, I know that you're supposed to find... When I was doing internet, I was like, I need to find the bare minimum of something, whatever it is. I always tell people, whatever it is you're trying to do, or I want to go to the gym every day, whatever it is you think you're trying to get yourself to do every day, pattern. Aim for doing some of it, aim for the marathon, not a sprint kind of analogy. Instead of saying I want to go to the gym for 2 hours every day, will you really? Picture a bad day, you lost your 50k a good day. Like it's a bad day. Girlfriend codes like going, it's a shitty day. Would you still go for the gym for 2 hours? If the answer is no, that means you will never. Naturally, your brain is not wired to do that thing. So now look for the reverse. Be like, okay, even on that shittiest day, I can still afford to at least do ABC. Then start there. Aim to do that small ABC. Totandikira mu 2 hours. No. Aim for the car. Even though it's that shitty day, at least in I'm sitting room young and about 10 push-ups or 10 sit-ups or like something you can't fail no matter what, you can even do it more office. No office, no chikola. Like wherever you are, you can still do it within 24 hours. Tandikira. Aim for that. Don't aim for aim for that. Do that consistently and just keep adding on. And before you know it, you will get the grant. What most people tend to forget is they start with a grant, which I've had so many concepts about this. It's never a good idea because your brain will be like, brain doesn't like hustle. It doesn't suffer. So anything hard, it will do it once, twice, feel good. It's like maybe, so you will not. So aim for that. So by the time I read Atomic Habits, it was just telling me things I already knew, but now it's just putting a concrete, on it. And that's
the foundation.
And that's the essence of the whole book. Atomic. Small. Tank it out. Do that every day, because you'd rather do that for 2 years consistently than trying to do a big thing and you only do it for 1 week, no chivako.
So, like, you talked about him mentioning, like, labeling whatever you're doing and having technical terms for those things. Like, you said you went back to your primary school and it had the same, like, map from back then.
Man.
And what I've picked up on in, like, different talks from different people in different countries in Africa, one thing stands out that, like, yes, we're colonized and stuff, but those people established certain things in the system. Like, but one thing we failed to do is maintain this thing. And you went back to your school. Was it as maintained as everything? And also, what's the Luganda word for maintenance?
Siri Muganda.
No. Like,
what's the word
whichever.
for it? Even Lutono, I don't know it. Maintenance. Okudabiriza? No, that's upgrade.
Okudabiriza is just making the place look better. Yeah.
Okulabirira.
If you're looking at the animal
care.
way, that's rearing or something.
That's a challenge to whoever is watching.
Because, like, most languages on the African continent have no word for
By the
maintenance.
way, holy shit, you're going deep. And that, because there's something when I was watching, which one? One of those MIT lectures either about human behavior science. It actually, so they did this test where they're judging kids' intelligence. So the brain at one point in time can store 7 plus or minus 2 things. Okay? That's why for numbers and certain 7 format does. Like we cannot remember a certain block of things at one point in, like at the go, 7 plus or minus things. Doesn't matter what the things are. Could be the syllables, a syllabo. It could be a number 1, 2, 3. It could, but 7 plus or minus things. So they did this test where they are trying to judge kids' intelligence. So they get kids from America, they get kids from Africa and other countries, and then they give them tasks. Remember these 7 things, a box. So when they went to the numbers bit, they realized that some group, I think it was a West African country, was doing badly in remembering numbers. But then later when they did research, they realized that for them, the word for, let's say, one is 1 syllable, one, you see. But for them, the word for one had 2 syllables, BD. So for you were remembering one thing, one, for them they're remembering 2 things, BD, you see. So it's not that they were dumb, it's just that their 7 was exhausted before
they could.
Exactly. So this kid would just remember 1, 2, 3. Those are 1, you see. Billy, Satu, Inya, done. So for you, those 7 things are done by the time you're on 5. So brain gay. But for this guy, it's still going because the language they use to remember the things, only the thing is contained in one thing. 1 is contained in 1 syllable. But first 2 is contained in 2 syllables. So the same 1 is contained in 2 syllables. So for me to remember one thing, I have to remember 2 things, B and Li. You see, for this person to remember the thing 1, he has to remember one thing, 1, because it's 1 syllable.
Kene.
Kene is 2, Kene. So you see, so when you picture like space in a, this guy is storing, let's say, 2 megabytes, for you storing 3 megabytes for the same thing.
So you get overworked.
Exactly. So that shows you that also language can be a bit limiting in how we perceive the world and how we do things. So back to your point of maintenance, maybe that's why, because the twinachi gamble for it, because if you can't even define the thing, how are you supposed to perceive it to begin with?
Because you look at the factories in Jinja that were there, the rail lines that they are now redoing recently.
I wonder if that's I should ask some historian about, but we have Luganda linguists.
Because
that could be a huge factor.
Yeah, because what I've seen with this place is that, for the most part, the Empire State was built in what?
1930s.
1930s. But come on, you walk in and it has elevators. What do you mean it has elevators that are modern?
Yeah,
Like
history.
the heating, the air conditioning, like all
History.
that is up there. Like even the history is still maintained, because all these things, they take time to maintain them. The path trains, I look at them, they fascinate me. Like to this day, like if there is a course out there that someone that where they teach up this history,
By the way,
I would want to take that class.
That's one of our biggest problems. We can't even maintain. The other time we were talking about PAM Awards. Like, we can't even maintain the things that are good for. We don't have it. We don't have consistency. And yet, that's how everything. People respect things like the Oscars, not because they're the best, but because they've been there a long time. That time, again, is your biggest asset. Pick something, do it for a really long time, and you'll be known for that. We can't maintain. Anyway, I don't know if it goes back to our survival mode. I don't know what. That's a big problem, yeah. We can't even... And if you can't maintain consistency, there's that... Even the people around. Because, again, why would we like our homes? Why? Because it's consistency, it's safe. Because something that's consistent is safe. And something that's safe is good for us. We like it, you see. But if I also... and I saw this when I was in Juba. There's a lot of money in Juba, but even the South Sudanese don't spend it there.
Show me the money.
They just get the money because they know the place is not safe. I'm going to put up my Kalina and chap. So they're not putting their own money in there. I think that's also part of what we're facing. Because Tulaba is really nothing, and got to be vaco.
Maintenance requires, one, documentation and accountability, which we struggle in. Because the way these people document is, one, through movies. These movies we watch, like
they are good at telling you number one.
Well, they may be fictional. However, there is a story they are telling that they're trying to preserve, one more or the other. Because I've watched the animations, I've seen these squirrels do whatever they're doing, and now they make more sense. You look at the yellow cab and how aggressive they are, how they're honking and all. Like, it didn't start last year. Like, these guys have maintained.
I think that's one of our biggest flaws, that we didn't do well. Because history belongs to the victors, and the victors are the people who get to tell their stories. You see, like I mentioned last time, most of the people we remember biggest in history may not have been the best at the thing, but they sure damn did tell you about it and told you that, hey, I'm the baddest guy, even though I'm not. But you won't know. 10 years later, no one would know. You see, but if it's somewhere. So that's the best thing these guys did, which I think we're starting to pick up now, but we're still not doing it well. Because to us also, the other factors at play. You have leaders who don't really want to document the shit they're doing, who don't even want to be, like, you have then even the people themselves who don't even really. So, and even though they document...
Documentation requires accountability. And
exactly.
Like, you really have to be
exactly
one way or the other transparent in this
exactly whole. And some like
it requires fact checking.
Anyway, as we wrap, because it's like 3 minutes. So for this one, we talked about why, first of all, we don't call you back home. But guy, and even not we now understand that our would they could be put on different times. And second, and also there's more exciting things to do. Partly means I'm spending 2 hours on you because it's not call a man. No one will be like, man, I could have spent these 2 hours going to see a free show at Times Square, or going to see, the other day someone sent me a video, Lord, the Kasigazi was on. Like, there's always so much to do in this city. You don't even have time. And remember, first were even New York City. You don't have time. There's so much to do. So you also value time. You're like, imagine if every day you could go for, I don't even know how to phrase it in Uganda. If every day was a weekend, you'd... So that's partly why we don't, because there's things to do. Tuine byokukola kati. Wakati tuine byakukola. Na iwano tuine byokukola. So we can't really spend time on the phone with you. And also partly is because the level at which we're on different frequencies now. Again, picture that time bogenda mukyalo for Christmas. How long do you hold conversations with abantu bo mukyalo? Ogenze kuduko sanza aka omuzeeyi w'okukyala ali ku byawe. How long do you hold that conversation for? Not so long. Why? Because byayogerako it's the same thing as Rich is saying with time byayogerako.
It's as we wrap, it's I'll tell you, like my hardware is the same, but my firmware has really been
upgraded.
And what I had before is quite obsolete.
Yeah.
Like yes, nja kwogera Oluganda ndutegeera biki like the compatibility.
Yeah.
We're trying to use Apple intelligence, but the phone is like nah. You need to buy the latest gadget to make use of this. So
the other thing we talked about was why when people get here, they create more content.
Oh, yeah.
That's simple. It's because there's more content-worthy things.
And also, this is free.
This is free. We don't pay for this. Like there's so much. Yeah, we're just walk in about what, and no one is using these things. You see, there's just so much. And if you're a person who goes, I remember someone told me before I got here, it's like, a person like you who's driven. You reach here and imagine it's like you're a race car, about the time after a nitrous. Then you reach here and someone pours. You're like, what? You've seen those videos of maybe when they release like a fish into the water or maybe when they release like an animal into the wild and it takes off. It's the same thing. But when Kampala, you're a fish, box, mazi. Then finally, when they let you into the ocean, you just go because now you're in your natural element and all the resources are there, all the things are there, it's so easy here. You do one car thing and everyone finds you and there's so much for you to do and there's so much for you to apply. So you also find that you're doing more. So it's just because there's more bossworthy things, the resources are there, the things are there. So you just find yourself doing them because it's easy now. Kampala, it's harder. You hustle, anyway. But that is what we think. Also, we talked about maintenance and do you know Terekebin to be a fee?
Yeah. So
a quick question: why did they this thing paying me by that? Because again, I consume out of content now that I'm this side. I sit and my weekends just sit and watch Ugandan music. Why did we let PAM Awards die? What's the use of UCC, Uganda Community? That's what those agencies are supposed to. You see because it was a personal project. You've seen this happen these ends. Person starts his private company, the government takes it over, make sure it doesn't die, keeps it long. It has happened with Rockefellers, empires, it's about to happen with the Apples and Googles. Because they realize something is good, we need to keep it alive.
My guy.
PAM Award was supposed to be kept.
was good, but look at Ndere is also going down. It was
we need to keep things there. Because that's culture, that's history, that's... Anyway. As we wrap, mwebale kutuwuliriza abantu ewaka mbadde omugalanda.
Damn.
But that's actually true. I'm Mugulanda and Mugalanda. Emmanuel, ndi wano ne Abraham, tuli in Manhattan, New York, USA, America. These are free resources by the school, so shout out to Yeshiva University Cat School of Engineering, School of Health. Bagenda Congo Wi-Fi. Yeah. Bye guys, see you next. Yeah, and tell us, we are in exams, man. Thank God for AIs, man. Computational math and statistics without AI. Yeah, that is so it is. Like whenever I feel stupid, I remember I got my bachelor's without ChatGPT. We are the last generation to ever get our degrees without our undergrad degrees without ChatGPT. Masters also ChatGPT because you have to put in a cloud. Bye.